guys, welcome back to another video with Eno from Fantasy Tag TV. Today we're finishing off the power rankings, got the rucks and the forwards left, so grouping them together, get this video out, should be Monday night before Wednesday, the first unofficial practice match to start, which is good to finally get some real games underway, and you know, it's a lot easier than intra-clubs, trying to get reports from that sort of thing and engaging, you know, players' roles and whatnot, and certain mid-splits and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, when a team's up against another outfit, they have to sort of put in, you know, their best 22, you know, in a way. You know, obviously other guys will get a run, but it's easier to get an idea of, you know, what sort of roles players have and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll just do the three rucks. You know, I think the top three rucks we'll easily quickly talk about. Maybe mention another couple of other guys, but I think that's pretty straightforward. And then the forwards is probably the harder ones. I'll rank them, but they're more of very much a watch list still at this point in time. So there's a lot of things we need to see from quite a lot of them. So always the hardest position to do that. But we'll get started with the rucks. And for me, I think with a lot of people, I've got Sean Darcy at the number one spot. Just the scoring power that he showed last year, even majority while he was half injured. You know, it's just quite ridiculous some of the scores he put up. It took a little bit to get going, coming off a sort of knee issue, and he didn't play round one, and then came round two and played for about 4 or 5 weeks with Meek. Actually got forward status in fantasy, as you might know, and then, you know, as the season went on, started to churn out some massive scores. There was, you know, a couple of 180s or 170. You know, a lot of 150 pluses, so really good to see that, you know, he's got that in him. We obviously need a bit more consistency, and maybe, you know, maybe just him to not look half injured all the time. You know, he went off a lot of times with some knee issues, and even got subbed out one game and still back. You know, got back on the park the next week. But he's clearly got the most scoring power, I think, or scope to have the most scoring power this year. Whether that comes to fruition is yet to be seen, but for me, that's what puts him at number one anyway at this point in time. So the next guy I've got is Brody Grundy. He's more of a safe selection, if that could be said about a ruckman, but he obviously got a lot more runs on the board than Darcy, but you know, he had a slight neck issue that hampered him in the back half of last year. His time on ground started to dip a bit. Even before that, it was dipping compared to years gone by. But I mean, Grundy's been vocal in saying that he was never a fan of hubs, and I know there wasn't many hubs last year, but just the whole COVID situation, I think he's a guy that didn't really thrive in that. So hopefully this year, fingers crossed, there's no more sort of issues. You know, there's probably still going to be a couple of outs and stuff like that, but you know, we're able to, you know, train and be at the club and that sort of stuff, you know, those guys. So, you know, that's only a positive, I think, for Grundy. And, you know, he still went 115 last year, even with a few issues. So I think he can go back to 120 plus this season, and his ownership shows that. You know, it's almost nearing 40%. So he's the highest owned of the ruckman. So, yeah, got him at number 2. And then the other guy, I think, you know, is Max Gawn at number 3. And, yeah, look, I think I have the top 2 as a clear top 2, and I think I have Max Gawn as the clear 3rd, and then there's just a sort of a gap to the rest, in my opinion. Unless Max shows a huge drop off, and Melbourne show that they want to give more and more time to Jackson in the ruck, which they started to, obviously, end of last year. Jackson, I think he had a better grand final than Max Gawn, and the numbers showed that, but you know, Max is still a super important player to them. And as he gets older, you know, he's 31 now, that you think they want to manage him for the sort of back end of his career and get as much, you know, as many important games and big games from him as they need. As you know, their premiership window is wide open now, and with the list they've got, they really would start cashing in on that. So yeah, I would assume they start managing him and try to get him through to the end of his career. So forwards, this is the more interesting part. Maybe until we get to number 2, because for number 1 it's Josh Dunkley, and I don't think that's going to change for me. I think most people would have him here, and again, ownership shows that at over 50% of the sort of high-owned forwards, he's well in front. So Josh Duncan, yeah, I mean, if you've played SuperCoach the last few years, you know what he can do. We've seen it from him. He just has had a couple of setbacks. I think 2 years ago was his syndesmosis. Last year was the shoulder. It is disappointing. Hopefully he can have a clear run at it, because, you know, in full flight he's one of, in my opinion, just the best players to watch. You know, especially out of those in tight contested ball midfielders, he's up there. You know, with what he can do. So yeah, if he gets a full run at it, and even so, you know, if something similar happens where he's averaging 130 for the first 6 weeks, you're going to want him in his in your team. So yeah, fingers crossed he gets a good run and can stay in our sides all year. Now, it gets a bit interesting here. I've got Zach Butters at number 2 for now. Just come out that recently that there's, you know, he wants to play more and more midfield. It's been said a lot in the preseason. It was shown in the intra club that was on the other day, sorry, and you know, there's still going to be a few guys rotating through there, but Butters already showed he can score pretty well with minimal time in there, so that's only going to be upside for him. He's still going to play half forward, of course, but you know, just a slight tick up in mid time can only help. I'm going to say that with quite a few of the guys, but yeah, if you're playing in the midfield, it raises your floor, and in turn will obviously healthen your average. And I think with a guy like Butters, who, you know, many people think he's pretty much their best player at this point, and he's still quite young. So I know it sounds stupid to say just had a Brownlow medalist, but yeah, obviously he's the future, and with the talent he has, yeah, they'll only want to start playing him more and more in the middle. So got him at number 2. Third, much maligned player, but Isaac Heaney is third for me here at this point. Just like Butters, has been touted to get more midfield time, but he has more runs on the board, in a sense that he's obviously been around longer than him, and has shown a decent scoring history even as a forward. That he's majority, he's played the majority of his career. So, you know, averaged 95 plus, I think, twice as a forward, and 90 plus another time. And I think with mid time, as I said before, just raises your floor. You know, you're more chance to be around the ball. You know, these guys, or Heaney himself, has been, you know, mid-teen sort of possession player, you know, and if you can get towards the 20 mark, it's just going to really help your scoring. And you're not really going to have those really down games. It might hurt because he's been, you know, he has shown a ceiling as a forward. Maybe the couple of ceiling games might go away, but I just think all in all, it sort of shrinks your range of your scoring, and obviously above all else, it raises the floor. So yeah, just like Butters, I think with that mid time that's been touted, the average will be healthy for that. So another guy that, again, similar sentiments with that sort of the stuff, and that's Taryn Thomas. If I could find him in 10% of sides, and I think the only issue here is, like, he will definitely work towards more of a midfielder. It's just that they have a lot of guys that can run through there. Hugh Greenwood they've brought in. Obviously Cunnington is out for the time being, but Jed Anderson I think will be back soon. And there's all, you know, LDU, Simpkin, those guys have been around for a little bit now, and you know, there's other young guys like Will Phillips and Tom Power that you want to run through there. They just obviously got the number 1 draft pick. There's just a lot of guys I think that can feature. So in 2021, in the games that he had 40 plus CBAs, 40% plus, he averaged 95, and that's sort of what we want. We want to see him working towards 50, you know, 50 plus, and can that happen yet with the amount of guys they have that can float through there? I'm not sure. But the talent's definitely there. He showed it the back half of last year. He sort of, when he first came into the league, was a little bit unprofessional. He's turned the corner there and shown that he can apply himself. And yeah, I think they're going to be exciting in the future, but I'm just not quite sure yet that he'll get the role that we need him to get. Hopefully he does, but yeah, we'll obviously need to see that in the next couple of weeks. Then I've got a guy that other people might have a little bit higher, and that's Jordan De Goey, and obviously we saw what he did the back half of last year, averaging 110 post-buy, I think, and you know, he was just a full-time midfielder then, and the role he was playing was, like I said in the forwards video, just pretty much a seagull in the midfield. Like, he was a lot of uncontested ball, outside the stoppage, and I don't see that continuing or getting back to that sort of way of playing. New coach, you kind of want to play. Not that that's, racking up the ball is great, but it's not the way I don't think Craig McRae will want the Pies to set up. And it was just reported recently as well, him and Jamie Elliott will be spending 50% CBA, so they'll sort of be rotating. One's always in the middle, one's always up forward, because they want that sort of, these are dynamic guys. They can create a mismatch forward. They're hard to match up on, and obviously you want those guys in the stoppage at times for sort of their explosiveness. Does it worry me that Jamie Elliott does get injured a bit, because then I think Jordan De Goey will have to spend more time forward to cover that role? They really want that role up forward. I think they would sacrifice them in the midfield a bit for that. So obviously we don't want any injuries, but Jamie Elliott is a guy that has struggled to get on, to stay on the park of recent times. But yeah, interesting to see. We'll see how it sets up, of course, in the next 2 weeks, like I think I've said with the last 4 guys, but that's the order I've got them in at this time. That could totally flip in 2 weeks' time, or a couple of them could drop out, who knows, but at this current point in time, that's where I've got them. Going to pay some respect to Dusty just for the pure durability he's shown over the last 10 years. Obviously, that is funny to say when just recently he's missed a lot of footy with the lacerated kidney, but he seems to be over that now. If he's playing and he's healthy, he's a guy that will average 90 plus. I think probably could even say 95 plus. He didn't really set the world on fire last year, and he still averaged 93, which obviously isn't top end forward, but I just think he'll land somewhere in the 9 to sort of 6 to 8 range. And be about the mark. But as a forward starting pick, I just don't think his value 500 grand when the other guys we've just talked about are all 50k cheaper. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So he's never a guy that's going to get out of reach for you. The price will always be around the mark. So if you don't start him, like I don't think most of us will. I mean, saying that, he is the second highest owned, but that is just sort of Dusty Martin tax. He's going to go large against Carlton in round 1, and like me last year, I was thinking, damn, I should have started him, but he does tend to just tail off after that for a bit. And I mean, who knows? He might be extra motivated this year, just after the off season he's had. But yeah, I'll just pay the respects to him that I think he'll be around this sort of 6 to 8 mark come season's end. Now the last 2 guys, a bit of an interesting one here in Zach Bailey that I've got at number 7, and like North, I think Brisbane are it's a bit murky, the situation of how many mids they really want to throw in there. It's Fagan just came out this morning and said that Neil and Jared Lyons are going to have to spend some time in other positions because they want to throw Rayner in there, Zach Bailey, Jared Berry as well. There's still Hugh McCluggage who's coming along as a player. Nakai Cockatoo, they've tried to get fit up there and give some time to, and just a whole host of guys that can roll through there. But if that's kind of true in what he's saying, and Zach Bailey's midfield time does tick up, I think he can average 90 plus. So, yeah, look, he's a bit of a left field one to an extent. I mean, he's a really, really dynamic player, and we just need to see that he gets a bit of mid time, and I think he can push the average up. But yeah, still yet to be seen what sort of the split will be, and I guess again we'll have to see that over the next couple of weeks. And then lastly, the guy I've got here, I mean, is Tim Toreno. He's so durable. When he plays, I think he's good for a 90 something plus, but we just know the issue with him is he'll play the first 5 or 6 weeks forward until Toby Green is back, and we're just, especially as a starting pick, it's a no from me, but he's definitely got to end the year around the top 6 for me. Like, obviously the first few weeks may hurt him, but then from then on, I think the rest of the season he'll definitely be top 6 and might even push towards the top 2 or 3. So got Toreno there at number 8. There's a couple of guys I'll quickly mention. Mitch Duncan hasn't trained much at all this pre-season, is still nursing some injuries. I think he has a calf complaint at the minute, so it's just a no-go zone. He's obviously very pricey too. he's a guy we may look to get in second half of the year as sort of a upgrade target. Finish the season with him if he's looking fit and firing. Trelaw, similar reasons. I think he's had a few niggles in the pre-season, and even if he didn't, he's always a guy that sort of just worries me because he has had a lot of injuries recently, and the Dogs are a bit hard to predict. Jake Stringer, do have to pay a bit of respect to the package. He did have an unbelievable back half of the year and was spending like 80% of his time in the midfield, or at least at centre bounces. But he's just a low possession player, and it's really hard to see that continuing. I know they might want to still send him in there, but he was in unbelievable form, and he ended the year on a 93 average. I think there's an injury affected game in there, but they've got a lot of mids, Essendon, and I think even still he's got a groin issue at the moment. So he's another one. Tom Hawkins is not a guy you're going to start, although he is really playing some good footy at the latter stage of his career. There's the Smokies like Jack Graham. There's a lot of guys here, but the ones on screen is more the top end of the watch list, and really guys we've got to monitor over the next couple of weeks on where they're going to fall, because we will have to probably pick at least, besides Dunkley, another 2 of these guys in our team, and they're the ones you really want to nail for the season. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys for a different type of video soon. Done these now, so maybe do some more in-depth stuff, or after the games this weekend, see if we can do sort of a bit of a review type of thing on what I see. The fact that they're on KO hopefully gives us a chance to watch them back, or see some things that we want to see and dissect. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Got the mojo.